there is a way involving the spirit of not being defeated to help oneself and to gain honor. It is the way of strategy. Strategy is the craft of the warrior, and immature strategy is the cause of grief. These are some excerpts that come from Miyamoto Musashi, the Japanese Ronin swordsman that died in 1645. What I find somewhat amusing is that in modern day America, to find examples of real men, real strong men with principles and values, we have to go back decades, if not centuries, to find these men. I mean, when you think about it, since Jesus, what would be the next representation of what a good man was to be, what a good man stood for? We can go to Marcus Aurelius, talk about the things that he left behind in his meditations, and look at the life that he lived in spite of having access to all the wealth, the riches, all the women, all of the fixings of a emperor. He was still a humble man. So he left behind jewels for us, but we choose not to implement those. And when you read the words of these men and look at it in the context of today's society, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to imagine oneself living a life of such strict discipline and control. But over the past few videos, I've dealt with some matters that have been really kind of the whole purpose of me making this channel, and that was to bring light to certain matters and to bring the attention of the need to correct certain things. And this need is, I've learned this out of my own journey, my own pain, my own sorrows, my own darkness. And because of that, because of my ability to find my way out of these things and have an understanding, I believe as a man it is my responsibility to reach back, reach across, and maybe even reach up for those who believe that they're a higher caliber, and get these men to look at where they are and to identify how they got there. Now today's culture is a victim culture, and what we see today is everyone being a victim of what someone else did to them. You can listen to on the women's side with the women slighted like Tomi Lahren, and you can listen to the slew of men that are in the manosphere with the various tales of angst and sorrow. And everybody believes that it's somebody else's responsibility to get the things that happen in their lives correct, which is really laughable when you consider that each one of us is responsible for what happens in our lives once we become adults. But that's not the case. That's not the case. It's easier to blame what somebody did to you rather than to figure out why these things happened in the first place, how these people even got into your life in the first place. And what I see, what I've come to realize in my dealing with young boys and men and even old men is many of us walk around life with no strategy, no purpose. Rather, we follow the trends of our society and just allow ourselves to be led blindly down whatever alley just in order to keep the peace, or to get some peace, or to get a peace. It's wrong. And we've been subdued to the point where now we are, for all intents and purposes, in a war of the sexes. We're in a battle for supremacy. Now the feminist movement would have it be that everything that's been male be flipped over to be female. But not only that, our culture is so deranged that now everything that was once white is, there's a move to make it black, including our history. everything has become inside out, and I believe it's because men have no longer been given the tools and the reason to be men. Our society has gotten so easy. We stopped having real battles and real wars to fight, and so we started turning on ourselves. We started turning on ourselves collectively and individually, to the point where suicide rates are astronomical, depression rates are astronomical. People are so confused, and a lot of men are desperately seeking some way out, some light, some guidance, somewhere to go, something to do, someone to be that's relevant. What we have is a lack of male leadership. A lack of real male leadership has been probably the number one problem in our country for decades. And we've seen this play out in the black community, in the single mother households. Statistically, there's statistics that prove the detriment of children that are raised in single parent households, which typically means single mothers. And what we have when we peel back reality and remove our feelings is this culture of instant gratification and taking away stigma for loss of morality, making things that were once held sacred and meaningful to be cheap and easy. Our culture has been devoured because forces beyond our comprehension have entered into men and women, and have men acting like women today and women acting like men, possessed with a Jezebel spirit that makes them give away their sexuality with just minimal attention. It's disgusting. But because men are so driven and thirsty, nobody really questioned that when they took the leash off and unhinged all the rules in our society. It seemed like a party. It seemed fun. Now look at where we are today. Now we are in a place where men and women almost literally do not know how to talk to one another. And that's sad. It's a bad situation. But what's even worse is that we've got so many men that are lost. So many men that, for all intents and purposes, they've been feminized to the point where it's just a operation to change them from what they are to what they act like. Now, my goal here isn't to point out problems without solutions. And so with that, I want to give, in the beginning of this is going to be the initial 5 points that I would like my listeners, people who are truly interested in making some real change. You have to realize that the only real change that can happen is when it happens inside of yourself. And so I would ask that you put these 5 things into your life, into play in your life immediately, and hold fast with unmitigated discipline every single day until this becomes just your reaction. And I know because of my own experience, once you start to put these things into work, you're going to find a lot of things that you've been doing that you didn't realize that you were doing, that you really can't stand. And in these revelations, you're going to find out that a lot of the stuff that has hurt your feelings, a lot of the things that got you where you are, was either because of decisions that you made or decisions that you failed to make. Because doing nothing is actually doing a lot. And so, to give you a basic blueprint of what to do that you can start right now today and carry on to start making immediate changes in your world, I'm going to give you a little breakdown of 5 things. The first is, you need to accept everything in your life exactly like it is. Wanting to change the past, wishing you could change the past, trying to change the past, trying to make up for things that you've done in the past that have affected your life in an adverse way. There's nothing that you can do about it. And usually the more you try to change something in the immediate present by just saying words, doing shallow actions, those things never stick. Instead of worrying about things that you can't change, trying to change things that can no longer be touched, accept things for what they are and take full accountability for where you are in your life. Everything. It's your fight alone. So you have no one else to blame. Take full responsibility and then figure out how you can go about overcoming these things. The second one is do not lie to anyone. Most definitely to yourself. We tell ourselves a lot of lies. I don't have time to do the thing I know I need to do. I can't do these. Most of these things are built out of a lack of discipline or fear. Don't tell lies. Don't say that you don't have time to do it. Say that you don't have the discipline to do it. Be honest. Be honest in everything with everyone. All the time. No matter what. Number 3, do not seek pleasure for the sake of pleasure. Many people seem to be on this hunt for immediate gratification. That's our culture. Hookup apps, all of the instant gratification things that we have that have pretty much relegated people to just swipes and hookups. Those things are based off of instant gratification, seeking pleasure for the sake of pleasure itself. That always ends up with you feeling empty and disgusting and dirty. And some level, the reason why you hide these things is because you're ashamed of them. So don't do that. Don't just hook up just to hook up. Number 4, do not let yourself be guided by lust or love. So many people have given up everything, their freedom, their money, their lives, for an instant feeling of lust or desire. And I've never heard of a tale where it ended up well. While these things, all these emotions feel good, they should not be what drives your decisions. Your internal morality, your internal fundamental principles about who you are as a man, what you want as a man, should never be compromised. No matter what she looks like, no matter what you think short term, always be grounded by your internal principles. And finally, do not follow customs. Do not follow trends. Do not be like common men. And what does that mean? How many guys do you know that know the stats of their favorite football, baseball, basketball, whatever man crush they have? How many people do you know that know the lives of celebrities, who they date, what they do, what they like? These people don't generally think for themselves. They live vicariously through other people. And the trends that we have in today's society, again, it's instant gratification. And if as a man you're looking for something real, something long-term, instant gratification is going to be your worst enemy. It'll be your worst enemy. Because if you run into a woman who's highly skilled at being a garden tool, she's going to turn your ass out with her sex, and your vision will be clouded with lust. Everything that you do will be built on a facade. Customs today is hookups, lies, manipulation, and loneliness. Is that what you want? Chances are you came to this content because either you or someone around you has suffered endlessly and you don't know why. The reason why is in the mirror, gentlemen. The reason why is that you've been following a plan that is no plan. Immature strategy of a young little adolescent boy that just figured out what his dick's for, that will always lead to grief. Put these 5 principles into play in your life right now, in everything. This is the way of the warrior. This is the way that a warrior's walk should be daily. Not based on emotions, not based on feelings, not based on trends, fads, or dumbasses. It's based on being a man that's accountable to himself and his higher agency, not just seeing how many loose, broken women he can knock off. Stay tuned. We're going to get deeper into this, and I'll give you some more tools for your toolbox. But in the meantime, have a conversation with the man that you see in the mirror and ask him what's his strategy and what you guys are going to do going forward. Out.